All right, so at 6 o'clock, we got 5 out of 7 members present, so. Well, wait, no, that's not right, because there's 3 missing. Tommy's missing, Alan's missing, and Lonnie's missing. We should still have.
Amanda's on there, it's one of you.
Yeah. Five of us, yeah, it's still. 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. 4 out of 7, that's still. Rosalie doesn't have a voting, not for.
Smartest one here.
So there's, I mean, 4 out of 7, that's still a quorum, so we can still have a meeting. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. So we have our minutes from April's meeting and from June's meeting.
And just to kind of give you a heads up, why we didn't vote on April's meeting at the last meeting that we had. We wanted to make sure that all the different ordinances that were handed out during that meeting were going to be included with the minutes. As you can see, it's a very big stack of all the different ordinances from various counties and everything. And as I didn't want to print out a bunch of this, save trees. So, but it is out on the county website, and I can also send you the email that has all the links on it too.
And this is the packet that, when Helene came and talked with us in April from Tennessee Central, it's what she handed out. I wanted that included with the minutes. So there's a record of here's what we were using, other counties were doing, so that if anyone wanted to go back and look and see kind of the process of how we did this, that there's all the information that we had and how we came up with decisions. So what we came up with on last month's meeting was the actual fee schedule that passed by motion unanimously. The 30-day and the annual, and the prices going with that. When we look at, and I'm just kind of doing a summary, and then I'll take a motion on the minutes. Then we went and came up with, we had that temporary use permit out of Columbia. We looked at that. We have a pared down version of that to look at tonight. That's in front of you. But that's what we did in last month's meeting there. Hello, fellas. We're only missing one now. Doing good. And then in those minutes, Rosalie has included that what Columbia had, where we kind of got our information from. So right now we're just going over the minutes, guys. We've got April's and June's in front of us. We're just kind of recapping where we are with the temporary use permit. While I'm kind of doing the summary, just kind of look through those, see if there's any edits or changes that need to be made. Kind of refresh yourself with it. April's meeting was the meeting we had where we had the vendors that were all here. We had those discussions. On the temporary use permitting, and the food trucks and how we were going to handle that. Last month's meeting was actually looking at what Columbia's permit was, and going through that, deciding kind of what we wanted to do, looking at their ordinance and kind of how they had things set up. We also kind of looked at our own existing temporary use ordinance. And so that's where we're at this point. I'll give you guys all the time to kind of look at that. We've got the minutes. Do you have another copy?
Sure, yeah. Which one are you missing?
The minutes.
Okay, I got April and June. You want both of them?
Please, yeah.
Certainly.
Motion by David, second by Lonnie. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so we'll move on to our new business for tonight. So, I guess let's go ahead and get started with, Rosalie, do you have any updates out of your office?
So, I don't think the last time that we met that I shared that I was accepted into the planning academy. Out of 70 applicants throughout the state of Tennessee, they only accepted 30. I was one of them, and it's a pilot program that the Center for Local Planning, which is out of Knoxville, they're doing this program, and it's every 2 weeks, they'll do a session. Pretty intense, and it's dealing with all the various things that are happening with planning. I know a lot here. They're putting out a lot of different things. The public chapter, the state is changing some things, as well as you need to have your agendas posted within 48 hours of the meeting actually occurring. We really try hard to do that too, get it on the website and everything. Some of this will pertain to us, some of it will not, because we are a metropolitan area, metropolitan jurisdiction. And I noticed in some of these, it does say that Trousdale County is exempt from doing certain regulations, whereas a city or a county, they would have to follow that. So I was sharing information with the planning commission for sure. Letting you know the roles and responsibilities that they have. And for instance, I was sharing earlier that today the class was definitely on ethics and conflicts of interest. And they also share a lot of information about different legal cases that have occurred throughout the state, where you need to make sure that you have your I's dotted, your T's crossed, that there's not, always follow the sunshine laws and the open meetings act, and not have ex parte or one communication from one source, so to speak. So I think it's going to really help our county learning all this stuff and being able to share it. As far as building permits, it slowed down for maybe a week. We are now, it's ramping back up. It's that time of year where it's not so hot that, the concrete automatically hardens as soon as it tries to pour, that we're having more and more permits being pulled for subdivisions that are already been approved, townhomes and some single family residents. Stay tuned to see what happens with all of that. Working with and going to the water board meetings. I know they are looking at what their capacity is. And in fact, you guys are on the county commission. You knew that you heard your very first RPUD come through the county commission, the work session, which is going to be Monday night, which you guys get to decide. And part of doing that evaluation on the planning commission making any type of recommendation, they had to have feasibility letters from all the different utilities that they're going to be having there in that project. They did have a water feasibility letter. They also had a letter from Tri-County Electric, since that's the service that's going to be provided in that project. They've also talked with Public Works. So all of the different things, all of the parts have to be there in order for them to even be able to be moved forward. So it's an exciting time for our county, because we are moving forward and making sure that things aren't getting approved that don't need to be approved, that we can't support.
So who's the actual owner of the land and?
So that information is also on the application when they come in, and that's even part of, like, even if you were to get a building permit, whoever owns the property has to be listed as the property owner. The applicant, whoever is looking to do something, is also listed on there. So The property owner for that property at this time is Isaiah Perry. The applicant that's coming forward is Chris Crowder. Now, in order for him to be able to do that, I had to have written documentation that he was given permission to be able to even seek to do something like that, and which I have received that from Isaiah Perry, giving him permission to seek a ARPA.
Does he live here, Mr. Perry?
Mr. Perry bought that property several years ago, had it under contract and brought it through planning. When I first started in the office, which is almost 6 years ago, he is not from Trousdale County, but he wanted to develop that property.
He's been trying to find some way to develop and sell that property. So this is just another way. He's trying to find someone who's willing to buy it as a project and sell the property. For a couple of times have fallen through. They were actual single home developments. I want to say it was 36 or 32 homes, seems to be stuck in my head for some reason. But it was a much smaller than what the 80 that's being proposed now. But they were single homes, kind of like what the development across from the high school is.
Really, no.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they were trying to do something like that. And honestly, the topography of that property makes it really hard because you have a small actual building envelope without having to bring in truckloads of dirt and create a drainage ditch, for all that water that comes through the bottom of that property.
You know, I've never actually heard of a, what's it called? You're in a condominium, you have the homeowners
HOA, yeah.
association
Yeah.
for a rental. The renters are gonna be the association?
Honestly, I hadn't either because he said they're not going to sell this. It is a rental. So it's like an apartment complex. So, I mean, I guess he's just putting it off in the rent, but that's not really for the commission to decide. That's the private entity and contracts between the renters and the property.
That might just be a way to keep them piling up junk.
Could be.
Stuff like that.
Well-
Having his own rate, but I mean, any apartment that I've ever lived in, you sign an agreement, kind of rules of the development, so. But that project happens to meet, community trash, community mailbox, so it's the least amount on those side of things. One thing I did want to touch on with Rosalie's report, on that water, I finally got a definitive answer from the water department. Because from the last year, we keep hearing these tricklings of, we're running out of capacity. So what that really is in certain regions of the county can take more capacity than others. And we're running out of capacity in specific regions of the county, not the whole county.
No.
And so that being said, where that particular development is going has capacity for this development. So that's why they were able to receive a letter, yet we keep being told we're running out of capacity. So and I appreciate Rosalie enforcing the need to have those letters when these subdivisions are coming in, because it alerts the water department beforehand for the property owner to know before you spend a bunch of money, hey, that's not gonna fit there. We can't support it with water. So, is there anything else? Building permits building just seems to have kind of stagnated a little bit here recently, but I know there are still new stuff being built.
We have 10 permits waiting on the desk to be picked up already.
All right,
So as I said, again,
Yeah.
it's starting to go. Now TCAT, they're having their open house at the end of August, and I know they're furiously working to complete that project totally. The dental lab, was not designed to receive certification at that time, so they had to do a lot of rework,
Mhm.
and they're waiting for the accreditation from the state in order to complete that. So that'll be opened up later on, in order for whoever enrolls in that program to be able to receive accreditation, to be able to actually do that. And
I don't remember
viable.
on their site plan. And on their site plan, I knew the new construction was all on there. Is there any plan that they've come forward talking about wanting to go back and revamp the old part since they get the new part done?
As far as, with the site plan that they submitted for that new building,
Mhm.
they did have the addition, that's being put on to the old part that was going to increase the welding area.
Okay,
And they're having parking areas towards the back of the TCAT building as well. As far as any other expansion of the
Mhm.
5 acres that they have.
Yeah.
That was not part of the discussion.
I didn't see anything. I was just curious.
Yeah.
That it changed. All right, well, let's kind of get off into the meat of tonight's meeting. So we had the discussion and I really did appreciate, I hope I conveyed that enough. Everyone who showed up that night to talk in April, to give us that feedback. I believe a lot of that feedback went into our June meeting to kind of what we've come out with. Just to recap, the motion that passed was for permitting for 30 days of $50, and then an annual permit for 150 for temporary use. What we have in front of us is a temporary use permit application that Rosalie has kind of gone through the Columbia City permit that they had. And it's kind of put it together, and I can't see anything missing off of it that we discussed. So please take a look at that, and you've got section 5, which is your food truck and vendor section there. But it also covers all the other temporary uses that are in the ordinance.
Yeah, did you want to say?
Can I ask a question at any time? I don't know how this works. This is about nothing.
Yes,
Okay.
just ask.
Temporary use of what for?
So
is it?
it actually is very broad currently, which is what we're going to address. Right now, it's temporary use of a property. I guess it really comes down to, if you look in your agenda for tonight, the actual wording is there for the temporary use regulations, and and this is what's currently on the books. It's not enforced, but it is on the book, and honestly, if it's not gonna be enforced this way, it's my opinion that we need to address it and pare it down to what is enforced. Oh, this is even
Obviously, we're
for,
here with Shrinkle Waves, but
well,
like people have invited us to come to their home, private property
Mhm.
in the city limits or wherever for a birthday party or whatever.
so that would fall underneath the catering. But if you were to go, say like the strawberry patch that used to happen and they had multiple food trucks or whatnot, that would actually, according to the current ordinance, should have been required to have a temporary use permit for that, even on private property. Which this body in the June meeting decided that that's not the way it should be.
Oh.
That it should only be, I
So,
can look the
For
actual
example,
wording.
possibly temporary use of just county property or city property or.
Yes, I believe the way we.
Well, even like a park, they decided if you're having a family reunion. you go
It's county
to
property, it falls under county
temporary
property, municipal property.
Use, and that is county property too. So it just kind of depends.
So temporary use basically is just a label for just being able to go out and like have events or set up. What you were talking
Well,
about.
that makes sense, but is the event's probably temporarily using county.
Right, so it's not like a permanent, like a building
No.
permit is like a permanent structure. Temporary use is just a label saying, okay, we are gonna do this, not all the time, but just for a short amount of time. And it's just a nomenclature.
So right now, Shrinkle Bay sets up often, as you might know, at Minotaur.
That would be a temporary use.
So, and with it being over there, like we were talking about food truck permits and making sure that all the food trucks that are operating in the county, met the different qualifications. Do they have a business license? I know you guys do. But not
So
everybody does.
operating in the county regardless of where they are, what property it is.
So,
Well, the motion that came out of the last month's meeting was that the temporary use permit, what we would be working towards the actual ordinance that goes forward, hopefully we will finalize that and have it before the commission by August, is that it would be private use for profit on public land. is what it would apply to. So carnivals and whatnot, your food trucks are still gonna fall under that as temporary use. But that's really gonna be more for, and that's the section 5 on the permit application here. That section is going to be, you've got a 30-day and a 1 year. And then you can operate anywhere in the county, no matter where you want to set up. And that makes sure that you've got your business license, your health certifications, all that. And then, so for $150, you're good for the year.
But you would have to provide, if you're moving around, that the home or landowner agrees.
Well, that's between you and the landowner, unless we say different.
And right now, we don't.
By and large, this stuff is spilling over to us. It's landed on our toes because of issues that have happened in Sumner and other places. So it's just, and this has been a mess ever since we've merged from into a metro. Like I said, we've had one side of the book contradicts the other. And so that's what we were tasked to do, is try and clean it up. And then with some of the issues, like Sumner County is completely overboard with their food truck restrictions, I'm sure.
Our fee is more than Delta.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. You mentioned the 150. Do you have something that you can show, or if not to show, at least explain, like, what is the cost that food trucks are putting on the county? And how this 150 number how that came to be, like.
Well, that was the
compared
discussion.
to-
That was the discussion we had both in the April meeting and in our June meeting. And we were looking at the permits from surrounding areas and had a stack of the permits from other areas. Looking at that, the discussion last month, which actually set the fees, was the body didn't want to deal with doing just weekend deals. We wanted to encourage people to come in, get their permit, and then be good to go. That's the least amount of burden on Rosalie's office. If she's only having to deal with an individual once instead of 6-7 times through the year, that's less that her office has to process. So it works great.
And cheaper on the.
It's just the cost food trucks are creating for the town versus that 150, like, what is that, like?
So
I get the one time for sure.
So the cost
Where's
that's
the
been brought to
150?
our attention and is the brick and mortar businesses complaining that, well, they're not having to pay property taxes and they're not having to pay the sales tax to Trousdale County because that goes off to whichever county they come from. Those are the things that have been told to us. So we're trying to equally address some of that, because I disagree with some of that anyway, because a lot of those businesses came from food trucks originally anyway.
One thing I would say is the permitting software that we use to add those modules to be able to do it for her office has an expense associated with it. So that was another thing that factored into amortizing that as well.
Not trying to take a heat off us, but the people that was here was.
Food trucks from everywhere that were here that night.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Just thinking from what little we do, like, to set up in Hartsville is gonna be the most or one of the most expensive places we set up. So
So
it's good.
Galvin has so many.
City of Gallatin has $130 for the year. That includes if you're required, if you have foods, if you have suppression.
Mhm.
You have a fire at Marshall, that's coming to inspect the truck, that's part of that fee.
Mhm.
That's my thing about the amount. We know the reason it's brought up, we understand that.
Mhm.
We understand the property tax, we understand the fees. I just don't understand the fee. I don't understand the amount of the fee.
But
If
we
you want,
have less.
it's an address, you've done all this, you've done all the work. How come it had to go to 150? And that's the highest around. That's higher than, and we're the smallest little town in the state. And so that's the hard part to swallow on the food truck thing. And again, like I told you, we was here before, we're gonna pay it, we're gonna keep doing it. But it's a really tough. My wife made a great comment earlier. $150 don't sound like a whole lot of money. But when you got a college freshman running a food truck business in town, trying to do her best, $150 is a book. It's coming out of her pocket. And so my thing is the amount. We didn't ask for a permit. And I know the software is there. Guys, I can take you on Google and we can make a Google Doc real simple that emails out and costs a dime. As far as expanding and putting money into something that's permitted, Miss Rosalie's plate's full. We work together every day.
Mhm.
And add more and more and more to her office. And she's willing to do it. And I commend her. But
That software package was so that it's all contained in the same system she's using for all permits, the way I understood it, and that it's going to allow her to have the ability for it to be completed online and fulfilled online, whereas having a Google Doc is different. It merges it all in the same format that's in the same software package.
So is that what the cost is trying to cover?
Well,
I mean,
it's-
is there
it's-
any
it's-
other additional problem, I guess, caused by food trucks that we're trying to compensate for? Extra police presence, extra sanitation with trash pickup, extra, anything like that? I mean, 150 is like, I mean, it just seems a little high.
I'd like to say, Charleston County has fewer food trucks than Gallatin. So we're gonna charge more than Gallatin because they're gonna cover their expenses with the lesser amount. That's also taken into consideration.
And that was my question. What are the expenses? And I've heard the one.
Both her time, her employees' time.
is there a raise? Is there money added to her employment for that?
Yes,
I mean, you're just adding jobs. You're adding a job to her plate.
right.
And I mean, I don't know a person in this country that don't do more work for free. There's not an office in here that does that well. I haven't seen it yet. Every time there's something like that happens, they add new people.
Yes, and she wants to ask for a
Well,
raise. at the end of the year.
according to the budgeting for Charlesdale County, we take in money and it goes to everything but raises.
Okay. I know that.
And honestly, as far as being able to just do a Google Doc, Mike, I mean, you're doing it working with the state all the time. We have, as government, we have different regulations that require different permitting, and the legal stuff of it is at a different level than it'd be great to be able to just do something like that.
I just don't know. I get the first month I came in April and spoke.
Yeah.
And I understand, I know exactly the comments that was made as far as we addressed the problem. Lonnie made that comment that night.
Mhm.
Had this problem brought to us, we're addressing it.
Yep.
Like I say, our only concern is, it's just fact that I was online this week filling out a permit for Galveston.
Mhm.
That's the only reason I know the number on it. It's hard for me. We're going with Columbia's data. Columbia is 4 times the size of Charleston County and Hartsville. So I mean, I get that they had I got a clear document. I get
So
that.
let me clarify then. We're not going off Columbia's based on
I know the
anything
problem.
other than
Right.
it's the structure of their
Right.
permit. We use that as a reference.
It's a template.
That's all that was.
But they put that in, I'm sure, for mule days. They put that in, they addressed all that for mule days years ago. We're struggling just to get 100 people at an event on the square. Now, in time, I hope it does. But again, that's something that I know we need to be prepared for, but I'd say that's
Well, I will say, we all agreed that we didn't want to do anything to discourage anybody.
Yeah. That was the tone of that meeting.
Some of the numbers that
honestly
float-
feel like if you've been here that night, talking with everybody, it seemed like to me that night, the people that were here was pretty well led us in a direction to go.
They were satisfied.
And I mean, like I say, I have nothing against doing something about it. Cause like I say, we wanted to encourage it as best we could.
And that has been the whole thing,
What's that number 150 come from? I'm sorry. I feel like
because
I got
that's the number that was proposed and that was the number that was voted on.
it.
I will say
We had
that there was a
discussions.
lot of discussions of all these crazy terms, 1 week, 3-day, whatever. And it was just like, why? There was no benefit in it. And so it was dumbed down to two terms. But as far as the 150 goes, I'm not exactly sure 100%.
So this is a number that was proposed
By this
people
body.
that- oh, by this body.
Yep.
So there wasn't any like reasoning or
Well,
data behind that. It was just
we looked at where the proposed was the 30 days at $50. And so the discussion that night was, well, if 30 days is $50, well, then a year at 150, well, you're not doing 12 times, 50.
right.
You're doing 150. So that gives you the full
That
year.
$50 fee was the same. It was just a proposed number.
Yes.
So now, and the event fee, that goes for events as well. The temporary use is also events.
It would be, yes.
Any event, whether it's on school property,
In
whether
the
it's on private property, whether it's on the square property. It's all, every event now is gonna be a $50, because so just a 1 or 2 day event's gonna fall
No.
under there.
No, because, so there's two things we're doing here. We're looking at what is actually right now, what's the law in Charleston County. That is what's in your packet for the agenda. That is the temporary use, that is law right now. What we're trying to do is we're trying to not only edit this to what works for actual Trousdale County, because a lot of this came from city and some county stuff kind of all mixed together. We're trying to fix this at the same time, address the food truck situation along with the temporary. So it's a combined effort of what we're trying to do. So we've already set out, and like I said, each meeting we've tried to take a chunk of this so that by our next month meeting, we can give a final deal, look at it. This is what we talked about. Now we can send this on to the commission. So,
Throw out one suggestion while you guys are thinking about all that.
yes, please.
Like we have events such as Downtown Sound,
Mhm.
community event.
Yep.
Backpack Program does the car show, which is a fundraiser for great
Mhm.
cause, if you ask me. So sometimes events like those bring in food trucks that don't normally come like on a regular basis like we do. So I don't really have a dog in this fight. I'm just thinking.
Yep.
Will that be the same
Based on the
fee
conversation,
just for those people that are doing these community events and fundraisers? Like
Yep.
that might just be something to think about.
that's actually was addressed last month's meeting. And what we discussed was doing, so if you have an event that gets a permit, and then all the vendors and whatnot fall underneath that event permit. So that takes care of that part of your question. The other part was, if you're a nonprofit doing business, I'm trying to remember the exact wording we came up with out of that meeting, because I didn't see it in the minutes, but there was a motion that was made that it would be private business on county property, is
for profit, I believe.
for profit on county property. So if you're doing a carnival, you gotta get but if you're doing if you're on private land and you're holding an event on private land, you still have to meet all the codes, requirements, but you didn't have to get a permit. Now, nothing has been put down as far as what we're gonna present to the full commission yet. We're still going process by process to get it all together and then decide, is this what we want to put forward to the commission?
And when he says private land, Minute Mart is private
private
land, so
land.
that's, no, you
So-
would have to pay.
No, not on private land, you're not.
You would still have to do,
Well, all the parking lots are owned, they're private land.
I know, they don't have to have a permit for the private land.
They still have to meet all the
They have to
requirements.
meet the requirements is all. They got, they've got to meet their own.
Fire, insurance and all that.
Are we talking events or food trucks? Cause I feel like
it's both. That's the thing. The temporary use covers both. Food trucks is in as a subcategory of temporary use. So we're kind of working through both as one process.
So to clarify, Downtown Sound.
Yep.
$50 permit or not?
For
It's a not-for-profit, isn't it? Rotary?
Downtown Sound.
What?
Right.
For the
Before
event.
Downtown Sound. event.
For the
For the
event,
whole
so
event.
this is what we said too, the application to do an event is $25. So the person that's in charge of the event coordinator comes in, fills out the temporary use permit application, $25. They have to provide all types of information. Okay, do they have event insurance? A list of all the different vendors that they're gonna have. They're gonna have to have them. We talked about having an indemnity, hold harmless if they're on county property,
Mhm.
hold harmless the county in case something were to happen. So whoever's organizing the event, they would have them sign off on this. We would need to know, we would have to have a site plan, just basically, okay, what streets need to be closed off? Because we've got to communicate to the fire department, EMS, the police, all the different people that need to know what's gonna be happening, where's it gonna be, what streets are affected. this is what typically happens, like when you would go to Public Works. So when it came out of Public Works, it came to this office, and this is like on number 6. You know, is there gonna be parking? Do you guys need to have police out there to provide security? And, you know, downtown sounds smaller. You guys don't have that much, but you do need to close off some roads and things like that. And we just need to let people know what's happening. We would automatically contact all those people. We would let them know exactly what the times are. You know, do you need the road blocked? And things of that nature.
So what we put together in the last 2 meetings for Downtown Sound specifically, being a nonprofit put on by the Rotary on public land, because it is on the street there by the courthouse. So you pay your $25 fee for the year to get your permit to set up, and you would mark out, or, well, I don't think we did a year, we did it per event.
Yeah.
So you would get your $25 per event. That you turn in all your information. Any food trucks that you would have for the event would fall underneath that $25 deal. And that's what you would do.
And you guys are in contact with everybody that needs to shut down roads.
Yes.
and all that.
Yeah.
What is the turnaround time between giving this to you, or however that's gonna work, and being approved, or?
And I don't think we've gotten there yet.
So I know we referenced using the template from Columbia. Columbia's template was saying that we would need to know 60 days in advance. I know, I think that's too long.
Yeah.
I just soon be done with it. I just get on Facebook tonight. I told Jack this day. I think I'll just get on Facebook tonight and say the county commission is stopping downtown Sound next year.
Well, see, but that'd be false information, Mike, because that's not
Goes
what
out
we're
every
doing.
day.
I understand.
Who wants?
So you want to encourage that?
free? Y'all realize that? I'm doing this stuff for free.
Uh-huh.
I put $3,000 or $4,000 into a stage when I started the deal.
Yeah.
The Rotary came on board with me and helped pay for the first year's musicians.
Mhm.
So I give that stage every week, and everybody asks for it.
Mhm.
Every time, just for free, just to do something. And here again, we did these same things you're doing, all the stuff you're talking about.
Mhm.
We did it in Misty's office right there across the hall every year before it started. Filled out the paperwork, all the information, road closures, everything. Never cost a dime. She called the sheriff's office, EMS, or sent an email to them. I was doing it for the longest until she took over and took care of it, and never had a problem. I don't understand the additional works for what it is. And then, so I know you're saying that $25 for us. So then Millie Mays, that's a great asset to this county.
Mhm.
Fantastic to the Hartsville downtown area. Is it going to be $50 per event for her because she's a private business trying to hold events downtown to bring more foot traffic to Hartsville?
I don't understand how.
They were there last month's meeting.
My opinion though is if an entity, whether it be Rotary or whatever, if they had a annual, that would cover the year.
We would cover the year. That was
There
our
is no
discussion.
$50 each event.
I know he covered that $25 a minute ago for the but they said it was per event.
Well, if you
It went
went
back $25, but $25 for the year, yeah, we can do it all.
all you do is just list, that's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't you just fill out one form, list the dates that you're going to be doing it, and that's the end of it?
Hold on. I want to kind of bring us back because I want to be absolutely clear. This body is discussing a process. Nothing is set in stone.
No.
We haven't changed any law. And what we're discussing is a lot less than what is already law in Trousdale County. So you
We're
could,
just throwing out some ideas.
Yes,
So
no, no,
you guys
but-
gotta think through.
but Mike just threw out the idea of going on Facebook and making a blanket statement that's completely false.
Well, it's only false if he decides to continue it.
No, it's only
no.
false if we.
He said
if
his
we
statement,
get
hold on. His statement was, I'm going to state that the county commission is topping this event. That is not what we're doing. We're having a discussion based on something that needs to be corrected.
We'll change
This-
This,
This document is what needs to be fixed. Because if we went by this, you'd be paying a lot more.
Right, so we're just asking questions and raising
100%.
some concerns on
And I
it.
have a
100%,
question
yeah.
for you. Do the food trucks decide? Make it the day before, oh, well, let's go to downtown Sound in Hurstville tomorrow. You do.
But I don't have them 60 days in advance either.
Right, but they don't come that fast. either.
Unless I have somebody back out and I pull somebody in. and I don't ever know that deal. And as far as getting their insurance and all that information,
That's on them, isn't it?
I don't.
To provide.
Because it's required by state law. State law requires them to have their COI,
Yeah.
certificate of insurance, required to have their state health inspection. State requires it still. I don't understand why we, and I'm having to take all the responsibility for another entity that already has to have that. If they're a viable food truck in this county, and here's the thing, all I can do is take them by their word. Now I can ask them to come, but you know what's gonna happen when I start doing that? If it's because they don't want to fill the paperwork either. Some of them do it. Some of them's no problem at all. If we go to an event, I don't know of one event. We don't go to one event that I have to submit COI or anything like that to the people. I have to submit it to the county for a food truck. If I register with Sumner County or Gallatin,
Mhm.
I have to give them a copy of my COI and I have to give them a copy of that, my state permit, all that stuff. But an event, we've been doing this 4 years.
Because they already have that information.
From where?
You gave it to them when you registered your food truck. You just said,
That's not to the event.
I'm talking about the
County.
event, Tom. I'm talking about the event. Like, you're asking us to get the information for the vendors at the event.
and if they're already signed up and operating in Trousdale County, then it's already provided.
So
Why would I have to submit it?
We're
as one
saying
of
you
these?
would.
I'm saying you wouldn't. It's already submitted. You just need to have them listed as vendors there.
Well, if he's talking about somebody that's not in Travis County,
Well, then we need to have that information that they have all their stuff.
Talking about somebody that ain't never been there. Oh,
You're,
They can just say.
if you're operating on
I'm saying
county
that the
properties,
County doesn't have access to a state list of this
No, they don't.
information.
no.
And
It's
it-
not every jurisdiction does that.
It's hard enough to do what we do.
Sure.
I talked with Mayor McCall today about it. We've worked our tails off for 4 years, 5 years now to get events going downtown.
Mhm.
And every time we hear these things right here, it's like a slap in the face and it's like, we don't want you doing that. That's what it sounds like. I know it's not,
Sure.
but that's what it feels like. It feels like, I mean, we're not making a dime at these shows. You realize it costs $1,200 a night to put the music on.
uh-huh.
And given the stage there, I make a little bit off of the few vendors that come into my marketplace that I pay rent for on the building, so I don't really make a dime when it's said and done. But it's like it makes it harder and harder to have those events. And it all stems, all this got stirred up because one or two people complained and we said we had to address it. I get it, we addressed it.
Okay.
Keep
One-
filling that paperwork out. We pay the little fee and we go on, it's done. I don't know why we gotta get so deep into it and change everything.
Because once again, you're combining two conversations that are separate being had at the same time. There is the food truck, which were the complaints, and that's what we're addressing there. Then there's the temporary use, which we found when we cleaned up our ordinances that this is egregious. And we're trying to fix that. We're trying to do both at the same time, being efficient with our time and getting the process rolled through. We don't have anything to present to the county commission yet. So you're making assumptions based on mixed conversations for two different things.
Well, that's
Give us a
all
chance to
for
work
little
through it.
clarity.
So, and,
But we're
and
working,
let us,
asking for clarity when we don't have a finished product to explain yet.
Well, there's some things that I've asked though.
There
Like
are.
the fee,
And-
the,
and-
whatever it costs in the town to make the 150, like I was just looking for some balance there, like,
Sure.
I mean,
But
I
you,
feel like I've asked some questions.
You
that could
have.
be-
and I've let you speak,
And I appreciate it.
but Mike's making some accusations and picking apart a process that we're in the middle of that he hasn't been here for all of. And we're trying to work through this.
so,
No.
but I don't know.
So
Wait, wait, we
Really
want you to
upset
keep
with that.
going. We want you to keep going. We want downtown
You
sound
do.
to
Well,
improve.
I mean,
So we've got a lot of more discussion to go. Just for your input, what do you want to see?
well, I will say,
Now, what do you want to
just
come
keep it
out
like
of
it
this?
is now. We fill out a simple form, Mayor McCall signs off on, it, we roll.
What's your simple form?
What Misty has done for the last, Misty, Carrie, all the ones
Okay,
have done for the
what
last
is
3
that
years.
called? That's what
It's
I'm
a
asking.
temporary,
It
it's the
was an
same.
event, it was just an event paper we filled out.
Okay,
Filled it out every year, I put I put my dates on there and the times, that way I can send it to my insurance company and write me a policy. And that's how I do it, so I've done it for years. So, I mean,
So when something happens and the county gets sued because it happened on county property and we've got nothing but our own liability insurance to cover it,
So
That should be the county should, and let me be specific. The county is not some entity, some business. The county is all of us. It's our tax dollars that have to pay those lawsuits and those legal fees.
okay,
So that's the whole, no, Judy, that's the point of making sure that everyone is covered. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. They have the insurance that they need to do. We have the liability coverage. If you want to use county property, that's fine, but you need to do it at your own risk. If you want these things covered, that there's a whole big thing to this that we're all trying to work through at the same time. Like I've repeatedly said, we already have law that this body did not pass. This commission did not pass it. Well, we kind of did when we took the whole thing in, but it was already on the books. And we're trying to fix it. So I would ask
We're nowhere
that
near.
we give time.
That you fill out with all the dates and you were able to get insurance policy that wrote all that in. One thing to consider might be if it's one paper per event, that's also one insurance policy per event versus the one. So somebody said earlier, maybe one application that covers the whole thing, like might.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is not,
This is what we're
this,
trying to work
this
on.
process is nowhere near finished.
No.
It's nowhere near, it's still in the.
It's still on the next month's commission. So that's right.
our goal, that doesn't mean we're gonna.
I would like for it as a body. I'd like for us to get the work done. That's the schedule I've set. If we don't get the work done, if it's not ready, it doesn't go before. But I was trying to be efficient with our time and get things moving forward instead of it just being discussion after discussion after discussion. I like to be able to have a discussion, get things wrote down, look at it. If we don't like it, we change it, we move forward. Instead of just random discussion and nothing getting done.
So may I ask you, do the people you have time, the food trucks or whomever, do they provide you with proof of insurance? Who is responsible for?
So how do you
It's your
know they
event.
have insurance?
I'm gonna,
I don't.
and so if something happens, with them, they do something, who's responsible in your mind? See, that's what,
Yeah,
That's
one
what
of the
we're
things
trying to
we're
do,
covering.
because it falls back on the county. If it was on county property, it falls back to the county.
I take a liability insurance policy for events. That way if somebody gets hurt, something happens at an event of mine, that's what the insurance is for.
So your insurance, you're covering them.
I don't,
He's covering the basic event.
taking care of myself in the event. in the
But
Hartsville Rotary Club. When I fill out that form, I put Hartsville Rotary Club, buy mic pots.
But the solicitors that come in or vendors, it's on, they need their own for anything that they would cause. This is just covering, this policy will cover him in any accident that happens, but it's not generated by a vendor who comes in. The vendor should be held liable for their own.
Right. And we have to have proof of
So,
it, wouldn't we,
if
as the county?
So if I may, I see Mike's point where he fills out one application for the downtown sound, provides all the different dates. It's one application.
Yeah.
Not a separate one for each one.
Yeah.
Because there's also people that like to do multiple events. In that ordinance, we also have the farmer's market,
That's
which they already had it set up to
Mhm.
where they have the permit and it's good for 6 months.
Yeah, we're gonna cover.
So this is not,
Will be, who are the specific vendors gonna be at each one? I don't know that we can tell you that in February, who's gonna be there all summer.
so.
Okay.
One
Totally.
applicant, and that was gonna be the next thing. Thank you for bringing that up. What if whoever you guys have as your vendor, have them stop by or even go online or email us their information that takes the onus off of you. They can go ahead and get registered in our permitting software. If they're a food truck and they want, you know what I'm saying? Maybe downtown Salem is their first foray into Trousdale County. And they like it so much, they want to set up somewhere else. But they can go ahead and, we can look at their truck and see, okay, yes, they've got their health department
Might be another
certification.
suggestion, just to print out that we or whoever's holding the event can pass along to the vendors.
Like
Here's
I
what
do
you
for
need to
building
do.
permits, these are the necessary items you need.
I think the main deal with this is Just not to get sued.
That is the
Yeah.
main.
It's
deal.
unfortunate in 2026 that we live in an environment that is that is so litigious in nature that there's been things happen that's forced it on our toes to have to, you guys need to clean this up because this has happened here and this has happened there. And I mean, everything that's happened in Shelby County, all these other places, and they're like, you're setting yourself up for a situation of bad libel. So that's all we're doing is we're trying to clean it up. And so this is still an open discussion. Nobody's trying to edge nobody out. Trust me. Not at all. We
Any advice, because this is a big deal and you don't know.
we need the input.
That's why we took a whole meeting and just had discussion and got with vendors, and you were here for that. And then we had people that showed up at the June meeting, and we took even more. But and it's great to have the discussion, but we need to actually get the work done so that you can get the clarity that you're looking for. Because right now, all we have are some motions of what we'd like to do. But all those motions can be changed with another motion. Nothing is set in stone.
Exactly. None of it.
We just wanted to come up
So,
with a
and-
draw some ideas.
Could you guys draft an email and send it to them with your concerns and what you would like to see amendment wise, to what we've got? Because I mean, right now it's a work in progress. We're trying to get through it, but obviously I understand the need to try and be efficient, but I also don't want to, pass a piece that's not ready.
Sure.
And
Want it to be more.
no, and we don't, that is, at least from my standpoint, I don't want to see anything be hard on anything, especially Downtown Sound or any of these vendors. We encourage, I want to, at least I think everybody else here, I want to encourage it. I don't want to discourage anything.
And this
So we
is
just
now-
want to try and make it where we cover the county.
Things. I don't
Absolutely.
want anybody to unintentionally, I do think it would be unintentional. I don't want anybody to unintentionally be turned away from coming. But
No,
like I said, this is gonna end up being one of them, if not the most expensive place.
again,
for
it's
us.
all,
I'm thinking other food trucks. And we don't set up all around.
Sure.
So,
Understood. This
I
is
know
all,
everybody's prices, but.
put the information, send it to us. It all needs to be considered, without the background, it's hard to get, how's $150? I mean, it seemed fair, but we didn't have the supporting conversation to say that it's not fair. We did not know.
Yeah, I understand.
And so this is a good opportunity to take your concerns. We'll overlay that with this. I mean, it makes all perfectly good sense. Mike, you work hard, really hard for the community, and nobody wants to fault you or take anything away from you for that. Not at all.
And this is now the third time that statement has been made. This is the third month in a row, or meeting in a row, that we've made that statement. Whatever comes out of this, we want you guys to at least feel comfortable with why and what we did.
So, and I hate to say this, but I work in the event business, Mike. And we do festivals, and the festivals are handled legally entirely different in Canada, the UK, United States. I've been in all three of those environments this year. And there are situations where a vendor sells a product at a festival. A child gets it, they choke. That person didn't have the proper insurance. They ended up suing the event. Obviously, they got nothing from the vendor. And in turn, the promoters got sued, and every entertainer, and it cost what it cost. It was at a Whack and Open Air, one of the German festivals. It ended up costing all the artists a significant amount of money to be held harmless, just because it's like football. They tackle the backfield, start throwing out players so they find the ball. Yeah. They tackled everybody. It's the same thing that happened when Sugar Land had their accident up in Indiana and killed 7 people. Sure, microphones cost them, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be held harmless. They had nothing to do with that stage collapse. The trucking company that hauled the equipment there, it cost them hundreds of thousands of dollars, and their trucks were held in a detention lot for like 8 months before they got them back over that thing. And those sort of things, I see that on a big scale. That's a horrible set of circumstances. Do I see something like that happening in Downtown South? I certainly hope not. But you get somebody disgruntled in the litigious nature of 2026, and they decide they're going to go call some corporate lawyer that they see on TV. And those people all they do is wring dollars out of ambulances, as you well know. And they would immediately come in, they would sue the county, they would sue everybody, I mean, every entity until, and that's how they do it. They don't just go after the person. I know, and so that's why it was presented to us. Oh, and I get that, but that's the whole reason.
They're also, like
Yeah.
I said, I mean, yes, I have a.
I just, I fail to see.
College daughter is already doing this and paying her state license, her taxes, her health permit, her equipment, her ingredients, like, and for her, it's one more thing.
So
So,
help this body understand something. How do we regulate a carnival coming in town to the park, using the park? How do we regulate it different than we do downtown Sound doing the same thing? We've already put in this in our discussions, we've already said that private entities on public, for profit on public property has to get the permit. That doesn't
like I
include.
said, we're not opposed
But I'm
doing what we need to do.
and I understand.
We're
I'm
just
asking,
to make sure it's.
how do we regulate?
Simplified the best that it can be.
How do we regulate a whole section of events differently than other sections of events? The only way we knew to do that was the way in our discussion that we carved that out of for profit on public property. Downtown
Not-for-profits
Sound
are a different story.
is a nonprofit, so it doesn't pay the 50 or the 150. It would pay, as we've discussed so far, it would pay the 25.
And that's
Now-
it.
Now, that was the discussion I remember from that it was a one-time, Downtown Sound would pay one time a year. It was the event that was reoccurring that you paid $25 and that was for the year. But once again, none of that is nailed down yet. So it's still in discussion. So Rosalie might have remembered it differently. It was last month. There's been a minute. We're trying to get what I wanted to accomplish tonight was getting everything nailed down so we had a list of where we were so that we could then move forward. And I appreciate wanting the clarification, and I want you to be heard, and I want you to get answers. But you're asking for answers before we've come up with answers.
I'm not necessarily asking for answers to anything I don't think that hasn't been done yet. I mean, I asked for
Nothing's been done yet. This is-
I'm just trying to throw out some thoughts, I think, for you guys to keep.
And I appreciate,
go forward.
Send
I
those,
appreciate the
please,
pointing
guys.
on the
We'll
150.
get it addressed.
Just, I don't want you leaving here tonight thinking that we're just arbitrary and it's already done and you're gonna charge us $150.
So
Because
that-
it's not.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Probably the most important thing to the county is ensuring that everyone has insurance. You don't currently ask for that. Because you're doing it right now, you're doing the system. How do you feel is the best way for them to provide us proof they have insurance?
This will have they'll have their own permit through the county.
Mhm.
If it's gonna be like last month I had L&M Foods. They did one event all year long.
Mhm.
So they'll pay $50 for one night there. They'll pay $50 to the Downtown Sound. That's a setup fee for a food truck. That's a fee.
That's to you and then 50 to us.
And so then 50, yeah, so it's $100 for them. They only took in 300 that night. So they didn't break even on their food. If you continue that. That's the concern when it comes to food trucks and events.
We
Hold on.
can talk about that, but I still want to talk about the insurance.
I want to clarify the statement because there's still some confusion that I want straightened out. Your event covers your vendors at your event, so they wouldn't pay an extra $50.
No, they wouldn't pay them.
As long as they got their.
As long
As long as they
would-
provide their certificate of insurance and they got all their fire
You're
certificates.
asking,
So
that's what
coming
I'm,
to the event.
so you just ask, how do I
That's what
know,
the
or how do I
discussion's
get their insurance? I've never asked for, I don't ask for their insurance information. The only way I could say they get it is if they had the fee, they had a permit to the county. They have it on file there. So then if the
Then that
one
covers
fee,
it.
if the $50, I don't know, maybe I'm confused as all get out.
I didn't.
I think what we were saying was- You're having this event, everything going on under that event doesn't have to pay because you're paying for the event.
So that food truck that comes in from Galton,
Mhm.
he comes into my downtown Sound show. He don't have to have a $50 food permit for the
No.
3-day show.
They're 25 because it's a nonprofit, right?
It's nonprofit. Now, what they do need to give is the information.
That's what.
All they gotta do is just get online and give us their copy of their information, their business license.
Just a printout to give to these people that are hosting these events. Here, give this to all your vendors,
Mhm.
That's
which
a good
tells
idea.
them,
Which is exactly.
email this, this, and this to this person.
Sure.
But if he comes and sets up on the street, so he sets up
On a regular day.
in town over here, flopping fish, let's say.
Yeah.
And he just does the one time, the one time, he just comes one time to Hartsville. But he's on somebody else's property over there, he has to do $50 for that one time, for the 30-day permit.
For a 30-day permit.
That's what we're thinking.
That's where we're at right now.
But if he comes to my show,
He's covered under.
He's under your show.
Your show is offering an indemnity.
Right?
Yep.
Now, if it was like Strawberry Fest, that's for profit, didn't it?
Yeah.
I never been.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Does he still have that?
How would that work? Because
But we hadn't got into all that.
We hadn't gotten to that.
But we did,
I mean, that.
we did
It should still be.
divide out
Yeah.
Still an event.
county, what you're doing is a county event. I'm assuming, I mean, I would call it that.
County
It's
function.
not,
County
because,
sanction.
but it's a club for the, it's, anyway, I'm
It's
thinking
sanctioned.
it a county
Yeah.
event.
It is a
County
county
sanction.
sanction.
yeah. I mean, yeah, yes, yeah, because I was thinking if everybody comes, gotta do a permit.
And to us, in the discussion we had last month, that's too much of a burden to put.
It felt like an
On the
overreach in a lot of ways.
that's why we put the one under the event would cover whoever comes, but then we run into the problem, we still need to make sure they got.
If they're gonna come, they just need to provide their insurance and business license.
To be good with the state.
Yeah.
You wasn't getting a fee, but we still need the information to cover.
Yeah.
What I got from the lawyer.
But that still needs cleaned up.
But it's basically.
So it won't say it, but this would probably be included.
Well, and honestly, Mike, I really hope that the discussion has been fruitful and kind of explained what we are trying to do, where we're at in the
Well, I never
process.
didn't think we were making assumptions or anything. I'm just trying to throw out
Well,
my thoughts as they
and-
come.
and I was
Don't say next time when make sure to get with us.
Yeah.
See what we come up with.
Now, I've learned from you.
And I was fine with the
And email your
discussion
list,
until you threw the comment out about blaming us for shutting your event down.
I agreed with Jack about that today. Jack going through a lot of hard time. I told him that day and he's like, and I was like, I'm just kidding, Jack. It's not something I do.
But with
Just follow us
It's
on
not-
Facebook. We don't.
I'm somebody, I would hope, you all sitting here being citizens of the town now, know me long enough. I was joking on that.
Okay.
Promise you. And now,
That's good.
yes, because I love this little town. I wouldn't do all this.
And I understand that and appreciate that, but I that is the one thing. How does the county regulate outsiders coming in and holding events differently than people we grew up and we know? Because the liability is the same.
No, we get, like I said.
I was actually afraid
So we get all that.
if we
Yeah.
didn't have
Just trying to
fun.
think it through and make it as simple and as
And so are we.
reasonable, and if you're not dead set on that 150, I would ask to reconsider. Just-
Thanks for your help on creating a little information sheet to be handing out to other vendors.
Yes, I don't know what all you need, but
Well, let me create one and have you look at it and give me feedback
I
on
mean,
whether or
you
not
could
you
almost
think it's.
have a little packet for your event coordinator and say, yeah, this is for your vendors.
Yep.
And the
Show all
part of
like
that,
this info.
part of the fee was we were going to set up where you would be able to use cards. So online, you could do your application, pay for it, and never have to come in any more than what, for certain events, you do still have to have a signature. You have to verify in person. But as much that could be done online, could be done online.
Well, see, I mentioned that, and
Yeah.
we can't do that because we don't have it set up to pay
Actually-
online yet. You got it?
I have good news.
Good.
That was part of the fee structure, was to cover that cost.
We just have to actually set up the card issue. It's part of our package, so it's not gonna be an additional fee.
It should be much easier for these out of town people to get there and say, I'm gonna go to Hartsville tomorrow. send us what they need.
As long as they notify the event holder that they can't just randomly show up.
Not coming to the event, just.
Yeah. People love these food trucks, as you know. I want food trucks here.
All right, so let's try to get some stuff actually nailed down so we can make some progress.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Um,
Was all.
Yeah.
The fees and everything were from all the different ones.
so and I'm sorry, I let the conversation get too far out of hand. As chairman, I should have pulled that back a little bit more. I wanted to get some actual work done, so we had stuff on paper so that we could show people and get feedback on what we had.
At this point, though,
It's a little premature.
it feels a bit premature now.
Because we don't have anything there, but we made some motions to kind of
Way down the road from where we were, but we're not quite there.
Exactly.
My question is,
Yes,
if I may please,
please.
I have people come into the office
Mhm.
getting temporary use permits. What I did for the red, white and barbecue
Mhm.
was $25 for the application.
Mhm.
Now, those that are,
That's
there's
the same.
another one
Yeah.
that has come forward and had already worked with Public Works on reserving the whole park, including the pavilions. And remember, I wasn't gonna be permitting the pavilions, and there's a separate charge for that.
Mhm.
But they have now since come into the office. And we've done the $25 for the application fee, and they're going through the process and trying to.
Yeah.
get
And that's a
approval for
messy
that.
process right now because Misty
It
is no longer with the county. And
And
there's not a person taking that. The mayor's office is kind of filling in right now for that.
so I'm still okay with you guys
Mhm.
to do the $25 for the application fee and use this template that I have currently because it has all the information for temporary use.
I think so. Would be.
I mean,
Yes.
honestly, I'd want a motion on that after we discuss one way or the other.
Are you
But-
getting their insurance?
But once again, as I keep pointing out, when y'all look at what is on the books that we haven't been enforcing, we haven't been, it's there, it's law, but we haven't been holding anyone to it.
Sporadically.
Yeah, kind of been picking and choosing. You can get in a lot of legal trouble for that, as I've been told multiple times now.
Yes.
So that's why I really wanted, and that's what we're gonna get to. I mean, we're an hour into this meeting. At this point, I don't see we have enough work done that we need to be able to make the August. Like I said, I was really hoping to have a little more structure down so that we could do this and then be able to look at it on paper next month and then be able to decide, change things, and then that's what goes forward. But we're not there on this.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm thinking the money and the fee isn't the big deal.
No.
It's just making sure the county's not gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, to me, it's never been about the fee.
Right.
And we discussed that multiple times the last two meetings. It's just a matter of covering the cost. If we're already, the county government is already looking at so much more that we're having to put in a wheel tax to raise funds to finance the county. We're looking at property tax increase next season. The last thing we need is more that where we have to hire a third person for Rosalie, but we got no money to pay for it. That's just where I'm at with it. Is 150 too much?
What are your costs?
What are my costs for what? Concerning,
Your computer that does all this.
it's about $9,000 a year. The software.
But it doesn't just do this, it does
It
everything.
does building permits, it does business licenses, it does planning, BZA.
So we have no idea
Codes
what your cost
enforcement.
would be.
To break it down to one would be almost impossible to narrow it down that much.
We could divide by how many we've had in the last 6 months.
I'm not doing that calculating.
So let's try to get back on track here. So what we have in front of us is we have the permit sheet. I want everyone to look over that real quick. That is just like we did the blasting permits. This is just the form to collect the information. Can you think of anything more that needs to be on there? Do you see anything where it probably doesn't need to be on there and we reduce it a little more? Because if you'll remember what the Columbia was almost 2 pages or more on their permit fee. Application, I said fee, application.
Just one quick question.
Certainly.
If number 8 is their signature, if it is sent to you over the computer,
Mhm.
and they do provide us proof of their insurance, is a photocopy of their signature?
You can do an electronic signature online. That is admissible.
They're allowed even on the building permits, it has a, where you could even touch the screen and sign.
Okay.
So you do have the capability of doing like an e-sign through your software.
Yep.
Great. So that takes care of that. So that's one less thing the person has to do to actually come down to the building. They can submit everything online. $25.
Well, they can apply, but it still has to be reviewed, just like a building permit, they just don't get it.
Right.
So we've only been talking about the application process, not actually getting the permit.
Right.
So we have an application process in front of us. They can do all the application process online. $25 covers the cost and convenience. And that's $25 for doing your application. How do we want to look at that? So we've already said this application does apply to all vendors and all, it does, it's temporary use. So for food trucks, for whatever. So you got the application, you have and then that application goes to the event. So now you've got multiple vendors at the event. Do we have each person filling out the application? And the fee is associated with, so what I'm trying to think of is, we'll use Downtown Sound since it's a nonprofit. So their Downtown Sound puts on the event. They pay their $25. It's a reoccurring event. They're permitted for the reoccurring event. It's a one-time application. We're going to have this event, have these roads shut down every time for this event. That covers everything. Everyone's notified on these days. This is going to happen. Done. Now their vendors show up. Now, the vendors, when they're there, aren't having to pay a fee. They fall underneath the application of Downtown Sound. But that same vendor goes and sets up out here somewhere else.
Different thing.
It's a different thing. So it would fall in a different category because now you're for profit. You're not nonprofit anymore.
That's when he'd have to get the $50 permit.
Because we're trying to encourage attendance to our nonprofit events.
Right.
And then we do that by providing food. And if that food vendor wants to donate their profits that day to the nonprofit, by all means, let's encourage that. But if they're just showing up, making a profit, trying to, and that brings in more people, as long as we have their information on the application, do we charge a fee?
No.
And the discussion seems to be unanimous that no, at that event, the event paid the fee, that covered the processing cost. So we just move forward.
Like Mike said, if he has a vendor, they're paying him X amount of dollars to be there.
Okay.
So, I get that part. So I'm sure that's going towards the donation or the nonprofit part. Which
So the question
they're not
is,
giving food away,
Exactly.
but I see you've got to have
Yeah.
some incentive.
Yeah.
so I agree with all that, but how, at this point, how are we gonna get proof of their insurance? That's the next thing.
And that's what we're,
I don't know,
Oh,
how
that's-
are we gonna get
the
it?
questions we've all covered.
Oh.
It's solutions I'm looking for, guys.
I think I already know.
They gotta have the $25 permit regardless.
No, not them,
They've been-
just